Hello, everyone. I'm Dolph Janis of Clear Income Strategies Group. I'd like to welcome to this webinar presentation of Retirement Risk and Taxes 101. We'll be sharing a lot of good information for you. I appreciate you taking out the next 35 minutes of your time to receive this information. And you'll also notice on the right, if there are any questions you would like to submit throughout the presentation. Please just click on there and I will get to them after the presentation is over with, either through email, Zoom, or through a personal phone call. So just let me know what works best for you. Now, if we look back in my career, I've been doing this the financial world since 2004, and people always look and say, "Well, Dom, how did you really get into this industry and going into a financial advisor, trying to help people?" And some people might have heard the story, and I won't keep it on, make it very a long story. But back in the day, I used to work in Nevada. I worked in Reno and Lake Tahoe and Las Vegas, and I was a dealer out there for a while, and also a pit boss. And I've become to see a lot of people go out there for entertainment purposes, and it's great. You know, the old theory of don't gamble what you can't afford to lose. And over, I'd see these locals coming into the casino, and I started building rapport with them, and it was just seeing them lose and lose and lose, and then be all depressed and so forth. And regular clients coming in there and just losing because they weren't educated. They weren't realizing the quickest way to make money isn't just a quick buck. It's, in my theory, the best way to make money is not to lose money. And gambling is an entertainment cause. And over the time I was out there, I saw too many people losing money. I said, I'm going to get back to what I went to school for. I'm going to get back to education. Education, in my personal opinion, is key. And if you can educate people on how to not lose money and how to protect their portfolio, to get all the needs they want in retirement versus the stuff that they want in retirement later on, it's a wonderful thing. And that's like a little story of my background, is like after so many times of seeing these locals, which became good friends, and Brandon Thomas is one of my best friends, an example, just saw him lose and lose and lose. And then he ended up selling his house and this, that, and the other. So, I mean, that's just a little background story of why I do what I do. And I've enjoyed it for the last 17 plus years on educating. That's why I do these webinar series every single week, especially during the COVID outbreak that's been going on. So it's good information. So I just wanted to share that for you. Like I said, I've had the pleasure of writing my book about a year and a half ago, got published, Cross the Bridge of Retirement. Again, if you'd like to have a complimentary copy, either a hard copy or PDF, you can email us, respond to this webinar, use a question on the side, because we're more than happy to put that in your hands. Also, if you go to my website and under the media tab, you'll see all these are articles that I've written over the years. I've been lucky to publish in Forbes 3 times, Money Magazine, Fortune, U.S. News and World Reports. I've been out there. I've been on the Sean Hannity show. That was a wonderful experience. And just all about educating. Once again, education. All these articles are strictly about education. So enough about me, and I know what you want to do is get right into the nits and grits of this. But a good friend and client of mine, and I put this in every single webinar because it's such a great phrase. The key to success is to do what we don't necessarily want to do in the present in order to achieve the results what we want to do in the future. This is what winners do. And if you read that, think about that, and realize it, there's a lot of things in this world you don't want to do and you almost refuse to do, but if you do them, they're only going to benefit you in the future. And change is one of the hardest things to work with in this world. And a lot of people fear change. I don't fear change. I fear change is good, because if you change in the right way, it's only going to help you down the road. Now, retirement is a scary thing. My last article I wrote in Forbes was the hardest day of your life is the day you retire. Now, this is just a generic average of what they've come up with according to New York News and World Reports, is U.S. News and World Reports, excuse me. Retirement by the numbers for 20 years. Just not going to hound on this very long, but these are the things that we're going to be covering throughout the next 30 minutes. Is just your basis, just your needs in retirement are going to cost a little over $1 million for the average married 65-year-old couple. I mean, $219,000 in food, clothing, shelter, transportation, healthcare is your biggest cost at $235. Taxes at 96, and with the new tax structure, which we're going to be doing a tax webinar next week and a real thorough one next week, and then the Biden proposed tax one in 2 weeks, just to let you know, to cover more on taxes. But that's like $53,000 a year. I mean, that's $4,400 a month just to cover the average expenses, not adjusted for inflation or vacations or anything like that, for the average couple. That's how income is so important in retirement, and knowing the risk and eliminating these next 7 risks we're going to talk to in retirement. is we all want to make the right decisions and travel wisely in our journeys in financial world and retirement. But you're going to encounter some roadblocks along the way, and you got to enjoy these. You got to avoid these financial detours and destructions by having a strategy in place. And just because you have a strategy in place doesn't mean it's the right one. But hey, congratulations, at least you have one in place. The thing is that thing needs to be changed every once in a while. It needs to be monitored throughout the year. It needs to be monitored every single year to make sure you're on the right plane, because no one foresaw COVID-19 happening, and it changed a lot of people's worlds, whether you're retired, going into retirement, or wanting to get there. I mean, these are the 7 things that we're going to really hit with today. And I did a little video earlier last week about Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime and stuff. That the average person's watching 2 to 4 hours of TV a day, watching movies. I mean, there's probably nothing else left to watch on those, but it's just to let you know, take a little time out of yourself for yourself and your family. But these are the 7 risks we're going to nail on. I mean, longevity, inflation, sequence of returns, withdrawal, Social Security, healthcare, taxation. These are some of the biggest, risks you're going to come into retirement. And like in any sporting event, the more risks you can knock off, the better you're going to be going forward. I'm going to start off with the biggie right off the get-go. I think, in my personal opinion, is the unknown risk of longevity. Longevity is the one thing you don't know, how long you're going to live in this world. I mean, when you're traveling, the longer the trip, the more fuel is needed for that. In retirement, the longer the trip, the more savings that are needed. Today, Americans are living longer and resulting in retirement that can last 25, 30, sometimes even 40 years out there. Living longer are planned to define longevity risk. Again, your age goes up, it's not going down, and people are living longer. So it's the one thing you can't plan for. It's like, oh, Dolph, I'm gonna die at 85. Well, guess what? Next thing you know, you're 92, 94 years old, and you're still kicking along. Seeing a lot of that. I have a 104-year-old client still out there driving, and she's wonderful. And she didn't expect to live past 80, so she's lucky that she had her money in place. But it's been also referred to as the risk multiplier. Why? Because the more years you spend in retirement, the greater the chance the other risks that we're going to talk about here today come into play. Where the risk of experiencing market volatility rises and the length of retirement increases. I mean, how long will you live? Well, obviously nobody knows, but these are the percentages out there. I mean, 50% of the men are going to live to 89, and women are going to live till 90. 25% is going to live to 94 or 96 for a woman, and there's 5% of you all out there going to live to 100 or 102. And these are based on the mortality tables and stuff, and those are increasing every single year. You can see this one was 2012. I mean, this was a little bit long ago, so those numbers are increasing. And someone says, "Oh, Dolph, 25% chance, big whoopee, to live to 94 years old. I'm not going to be in there." It's like, well, that's a 1 in 4 chance. And if you got on an airplane and someone said you had a 25% chance of not landing, would you still get on that airplane? Probably not. It's a big percentage that you need to be aware for. I mean, it recovers a long-term view. The balance between growth and protection may be required to ensure retirees have enough money to last through retirement. I always talk about it on my radio show and with clients, how much money you doesn't have. It's how much income you have from that money. And there's only 3 guaranteed sources for that. You got Social Security, pensions, and annuities. Those are the only 3 ways that are guaranteed lifetime payouts. And as you hear people say, "Oh, here comes that annuity word. Here we come. Oh no, I hate annuities." Well, guess what Social Security is? It's an annuity. Guess what a pension is? It's an annuity. You put money in, they pay you out for the rest of the year. Nothing else out there provides that. So if you don't like your Social Security, be more happy to give you many bank account numbers that people would like to have to deposit that Social Security into. Here's the next one, the inflation risk, the silent killer. I mean, same money but less power. I mean, what costs them today is going to cost the same down the road. Look at gasoline, milk, bread, all that stuff. Because an example, you look back in 1964, Ford introduced this car called the Mustang at a sticker price of $2,368. Today, the Mustangs start at $26,000 and change, and easily with all the extra stuff you put in them, you can go up to $73,000 for one of those top of the line versions, which we all like. This is an example of inflation. Inflation is simply increase of cost of goods and services over time. Periods of inflation like the mid-1970s and early 80s can create a huge challenge in maintaining the adequate standard of living. Each modest fields levels of experience over the past 20 years can deflate a retired's ability to cruise to retirement while maintaining purchasing power. Remember, cover your needs, cover your wants. Inflation's always going to be out there. Here's just as a chart, recent from 2020, last year, is inflation rates from 1960 to 2020. I mean, historical average is 3.7%. That's 3.7%. With taxes going up, there's another more unneeded income that you got to come up with to help yourself in retirement. Of course, you see what happened in the 70s and 80s. That was just that was ridiculous. And those inflation rates were 10, 12, 14%. And of course, if you look during any time we've had a market correction, inflation has gone down. But historically, during the last 4 years and stuff like that, inflation is historically going back up again. It's something to get rid of. So what impact can inflation have on your income? Well, based on different income rates, how frequently your income will need to double to maintain your standard of living. How long until $50,000 will need to be $100,000? If you look at the rate below, at a 6% inflation rate, 12 years, but we're going to focus on the 3% because that's the average. So about 24 years from now, it's going to need that 50,000 needs to be 100,000. So if you're 60 years old now or 50 years old, just add 24 years to that. And if you think inflation is going to be even more with everything happening, 18 years. It's a silent killer. Stuff to prepare for in retirement. These are this is why the tax map software that we run here at the office for clients can help them prepare for that inflation cost down the road. I mean, inflation's damaging because it's compounded over time. I mean, it's not going to go away. I mean, a well-planned, diversified plan on income can address these rising costs by combining your growth potential and your income together to generate a rising retirement income. This is one I've always run. I've done webinars on sequence of returns before. I've talked about them in workshops on the radio and stuff. And people say, what is sequence of return? Well, timing is everything. I mean, sometimes your timing is just off. You hit that red light or you have to wait a long time for that to pass. Typically means too little more is inconvenience. With retirement income planning, timing issues can sometimes lead to major financial detours. And nobody likes detours. Not like driving down the highway and you got to go this way to get that way to get back to the original road. Just waste of time. I mean, market pullbacks will often happen, a minor impact on retirement savings because you can save simply for the markets to recover. While Bill and Jill have done a nice job saving retirement, neither one of them can predicted when that pullback is going to take place. Nobody does. The same market pullback poses a major challenge when withdrawing money from certain retirement assets. Why? When withdrawal rates are used for purchases, that money is no longer in the account waiting for the market to recover. And let's just say this, that Bill and Jill both have saved $1 million in retirement. Bill elects to retire in 1996. Jill retires 3 years later in 1999. Now, mind you, all this stuff we're talking about, all these 7 different risks that we have and the roadblocks we're talking about, if you go to the Clear Income Strategy page and go to media, we have a video for each one of these. And before I forget, I want to say thank you, John. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lindsay. And thank you, Robert, for your questions so far. I usually when those questions pop up, I like to say thank you right away, but I want to thank you for those questions. I will get back to you later on. But again, we have these videos for you. You can pop them up. Well, I just see 2 people want the videos, but you can go to our Clear Income for Life. The videos are there. 3-minute videos gives you a really detailed message in a first grader, no disrespect, first grader's mentality of how to do this. But both are going to withdraw $40,000 a year, increasing by 3% each year, accounting for inflation. Well, when Bill retires in 1996, he had 4 years of market growth prior to the bear market of number 1 happening. Jill had only 1 year of retirement prior to the bear market. Although they both saved $1 million and a common strategy of different sequence returns, it had a dramatic impact on their savings. I mean, simple. Look at this. Here's the chart of Bill and Jill. And Jill is in the yellow, Bill is in the blue. Usually we have the woman on top and succeeding, but we had to let the man do it every once in a while. Believe it or not, we've had people say, well, why is in your scenarios it always the woman who succeeds and the man doesn't? Well, I guess we got to be equal now, so we're gonna have to switch it up every once in a while in these webinars. So, but Bill retired 3 years before Jill did. And over a 20-year time frame or 24-year time frame, or 34-year time frame, he's withdrawn $1.3 million out of his portfolio and still has $2 million left. Well, Jill didn't get time. She hit the bear market right off the get-go. She's withdrawn a little over 1.1 million, but she's only got $148,000 left in her money. Which scenario is that going to be? This is called sequence returns. I'm going to show you a little thing here how it works on the value of sequence returns and the one coming up next was withdrawal risk, which is even more important coming out there like this. So this is really important about withdrawals. So stay tuned. In a few minutes, I'm going to cover the withdrawal ones. I just want to go into the sequence of returns and show you how common they can be going forward. But again, having income sources that are not impacted by the market pullbacks to address this risk, these income sources can allow a nest egg to recover from market pullback, easing the pressure on the portfolio. What does that mean at the end of the day? Well, Bill put him something in there that couldn't lose any money according to the market. Jill did not. So let's just see this in action real quick, okay? This is the importance of sequence returns. What you see in front of you is a chart, which you'll see right here, the blue numbers, is the actual returns of the S&P 500 from 2000 to 2009, about a 20-year period, and an initial starting base of $250,000. Now you'll see at the end, you have that 250 turned into 690,400 some change. Pretty good. I mean, almost 2.5 times the amount of money that you put in there. Mind you, there's no fees or taxes taken out of there. Boom. Now, what happens if you switch these numbers around? I mean, you're going to end up with the same total. Look at this. I mean, no matter how many times I change these numbers, the sequence of returns changes around. And shortly, I'm going to talk about sequence return risk when you're taking these withdrawals, how it changes this. But this is the interesting part. Let's just say you over on this here, on strategy one over here, let's say I'm going to give you 50% of the gains, but I'm going to take away the losses. Which one's out going to perform which? This is amazing. Only getting half of the upside, but taking away the total downside. You got $47,000 more over here than you have over here. Think about that. That's crazy. You got $47,000 more by only getting half the upside and taking away those 5 years out of the 20 with a downside risk. Now, this is the even fun part about it. Let's randomize these numbers. No matter how many times I change the order of the sequence of returns, the number on the right in strategy A, only getting half the upside, outperforms the actual numbers on the left side. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to come back to this and I'm going to show you the withdrawal risk factor of taking withdrawals out of here and how it institutes the same time of when in here are you planning to retire, if these numbers are actually going to hold in fruition. And here's, look at this. I mean, you got you got 20s and 30s and 40% gain, no 40s, but 10, 20s and 30% gains throughout here. It's incredible. But at the end of the day, strategy A here, a no fee strategy with half the upside, outperforms the original S&P 500 every single way you sequence the last 20 years. Now we're going to come back here in a few minutes again. I'm going to throw the withdrawal rate up here and even surprise you a little bit more. So like I said, as promised, we're going right back into withdrawal rate risk. Now, while money is progressing along the retirement journey, it's critical not to drain the retirement tank too quickly. And during the 1990s, financial researchers began working to determine how much retirement nest egg could be withdrawn each year before you would run out of money. They concluded right around 4% of their savings each year, adjusted for inflation, could, maybe will make you last for the rest of your life. Well, that research wasn't premised on the higher interest rates compared to today's historical low rates and bond yields. As a result, experts today think lower rates are going to be necessary to ensure your nest egg going down the road. And so, I mean, this rule of thumb of the 4 rate, having 4% withdrawal rate was once considered a safe amount that could be taken from your nest egg each year based on the research from the 1990s. This was called the 4% rule. When determining a withdrawal rate, it's important to factor in the retirement savings are divided between equity and bonds. So you want safety and you want growth at the same time. So here's your probability of success. I mean, right here, right on the screen there, you got 20% equities and 80% bonds. You got a 2.2% rate of success to have enough money to live on. If you flip it over to 80-20, you're down to 1.4%. Where is the happy medium? You go 60-40, and you're looking in a 30-year retirement, you're looking anywhere, you're a very low rate chance to actually let it work because of the sequence of returns, because you might be taking out more than you really need, because those market dips can really eat into equities and bonds. I mean, the lower withdrawal rates require nest eggs to be much larger to generate the same level of retirement income. Yes, thank you. Michael just saw us and said, Dolph, does this relate to the EP video that you have on your website? Yes, this is the EPV video, the equivalent portfolio value video. It's a great one. I didn't put it in the video, this web seminar now because they're all on my website and I don't want to extend it too much longer, but Michael, you're 100% correct. Thanks for typing that in there right there. So sorry to interrupt there. I get excited and I'm very passionate, as you can see what I'm doing, but consider these assets generated $40,000 a year in income. There's a various financial insurance strategies that can combine with generate levels of income. The key is to focus on solutions that you may not have considered when saving retirement. Just because one person says it's no good doesn't mean it's bad for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of things, like some people say, oh, I love Ford. Some people say, oh, I hate Ford, fix and repair daily, or Lincoln, or all these different car companies. You've got to do what's best for you. In the 17, 18 years I've been doing this as an advisor, got over 1,043 different clients to date, and every single situation is different. I've yet to run into the same exact situation, and that's the beauty of it. That's why we don't talk product in these webinars. We talk strategies and getting to educate. So as I promised, let's see the withdrawal rate in action in consideration with sequence of returns. This is what the withdrawal is. Same situation, you got $250,000. Withdrawal rate, let's just say we're going to take out, they said 4%, let's increase that to 5%. Let's be a little bit, hey, boom. So we hit the 5% there. Same scenario over the last 20 years. Look what happens down here. You got no money left. You've taken out $237,000, but you're in the negative because of all these gains. And you randomize this here. Sometimes it looks out good. Sometimes it works out better. But I mean, these rates are interesting how they fluctuate. Here they're down $14,000. Now, if we reset this, and let's just say again, let's just do the 50% of the gains with no loss in the strategy here, 5% return, 5% withdrawal rate. Here we go. Same situation. Oh, wow, look at this. Last 19 years, both taking out 237 plus. They still got 219 left over here. They're out of money over here. It's incredible how the sequence of returns, like this year here, but you'll notice almost 92% of the time, strategy one outperforms strategy two, with the numbers over down here being more than here. Why? Because zero can be your hero. Simple as that. Knowing versus guessing. And strategy one, yeah, it's an annuity. 50% of the upside, no downside risk. But I just said 92% of the time, it's going to outperform in the sequence of the risk category. That's the sequence of returns in the enhanced to withdrawal rate. It's pretty wild if you think about it there. It's like, yeah, you get all these positive gains, but if you shuffle them all out, how only getting 50% of the gains and getting a zero return wins 92% of the time. Those, my friends, are good odds. Then we have Social Security risk is the next one up. This is a tough one for everybody because you got 62 years old, you can take it. 66 plus is retirement age, 70 is full there, and it grows. What's happening with Social Security? A lot of changes out there, and we like to depend on engine for reliability. Social Security is depended on by millions of Americans to help achieve their retirement goals. Social Security is one of the few sources of lifetime income, along with pensions and annuities, that adjusts for inflation if you wanted to. Understand all the options is important. Today, for a married couple, there are multiple options to consider when determining when to take Social Security. Understanding when to file for benefits is a crucial step, and make sure Social Security was designed to supplement your income, not control your income. I mean, full retirement age, here's the list. Here it is. And a lot of people have asked this question earlier of when is the full retirement age? We're right there. We'll be more than happy to send it to you, or take a screenshot with your phone while it's on the screen of if you were born in these certain years, this is your Social Security full retirement age. Word out of the sharer is that these ages might be changing. They might be going up a little bit because of all the rules of people living longer and the amount of money going into Social Security. But right now, if you're born in 60 or later, I mean, it's no longer 66 years old. You're looking at 67 years old. So those benefits reductions is a lot. So you have to decide when is the right time to take it even. And generally, folks, if you take it like 62 versus 66, it's generally between an 8 and 12 year break even point. We have the software to show you that, to make sure you maximize Social Security for yourself. Here we go, Bill and Jill again. Easy two names, easy to spell. I love it. But by waiting to 70, Jill would increase her income for Social Security by $640 a month, 32% more than what she would have at 66. If both Jill and Bill lived to 90, assuming no annual cost of living adjustments, Jill received $130,000 in cumulative benefits from her brother Bill. Deciding when to file for Social Security benefits can be complex. It's not only impacts your benefit, but your spouse's survivor too. We have a list of all the Social Security benefits different ways of filing. It's one of our services we do here. Make sure you do it right. Social Security is generally one of the biggest assets in people's retirements. They'll say, hey, Dolph, I got an $800,000 401k and an $800,000 house. Those are big. Well, you have your wife at you're 66 years old. Let's say you're receiving $2,000 a month each, $48,000 a year. You live 20 years, you've just already, with no increases, you've already gained $960,000 in Social Security benefits between the two of you. 960 versus 800, I think 960 wins every single time. Healthcare risk, we could talk all night long on this. I won't do it for you, but this is the biggest expense that you need to be prepared for. That's why healthcare, and like Jeff and the programs he run, is so important in knowing how much healthcare you're going to need and make sure you're doing it the right way. Because even with the best preparation and planning, there are unexpected costs that may occur on any long road trip. The same can be said for retirement savings in relation to healthcare expenses. Healthcare costs continue to be one of the largest, most unpredictable expenses in retirement, excuse me. And while Medicare does provide a baseline of health insurance, it is not without cost and does not cover all your healthcare expenses. In fact, research has shown a healthy 65-year-old couple can still expect $12,000 annually out of pocket on healthcare costs. Multiply that by 20, that's $250,000 on a healthy person. It's a lot of coin. I mean, as retirees age, out-of-pocket cost only increase, especially with all these new changes once again being thrown out by Washington and everything. Who knows what's going to happen? The ever increasing expenditure can be detrimental, in finances retirement. I mean, you're spending $12,000 when you're 65 and 21 when you're 75, and heck, now you're 85 and you're spending $37,000. Oh, by the way, don't forget about long-term care and nursing home costs. Those are tacked on there, makes that cost even more out there. And there you go. The national average for long-term care cost, $92,000 a year. Where's that going to come from? Do you have options for it? And that Medicare is only going to cover part of the intermediate skilled nursing and short-term stay at the city. It's not going to pay for 24-hour daycare services. Know your options. Don't get yourself stuck behind the wheel. And then I said the national average for long-term care cost, this is $253 a day. That's a lot. That's $7,698 a month. That's a lot of money. That's more than most people make in a month when they're working. This is long-term care cost. How is this going to be fit in your portfolio? Maybe it's a good idea to skip that next series of Breaking Bad on Netflix or one of those other great movies on there and just put a plan together to take care of this. Finally, you've been waiting for it, taxation risk. Boy, have we had some taxation changes over the last several years with Trump and now with Biden's tax plan. I mean, they're going totally different ways out there. I mean, road construction ahead, that warning often means delays and potentially the need for alternate routes. When it comes to taxes and retirement, the potential for future tax rates means it's time to explore alternative rates and routes for retirement income. I mean, the debt is, I can't even say that number, 27 and a bunch. Each year, interest payments, the debt exceeds 574 and a bunch. To pay off the national debt and balance the budget, the government only has two ways: increase taxes and decrease spending. Don't like the thought of that. And considering in the past 60 years, federal spending has gone down only 4 times, it appears more likely that a tax increase is going to come and then decrease. Yes, I mean, at the end, we'll have a slide there, folks. I just saw a couple of questions pop up about taxes and more information. Next week's Smart Retirement Tax webinar is strictly on taxes. And then 2 weeks, we're going to be doing the Biden proposed tax plan and the 27 proposed tax changes he's going to make to you. So if you want to sign up for those now, great idea to look for those. So it creates a dilemma. Today, most retirees are spending savings in IRAs and 401ks. When drawn, they're subject to tax. So there's so much uncertainty what you're going to do. I mean, do you think future tax rates will be the same, lower, or higher as they are today? I mean, the historical average, 57.31%, but look at that from 1920, it's like a roller coaster over Carowinds. It just is going up and down and up and down. It's like, where's it going to go? 20, it's gone up just a little bit. We've been pretty much stable now since 1994, but I think it's about to raise again. And if it does, are you ready for those marginal tax hikes? Because many vehicles will be taxed when dollars are withdrawn or the assets are sold. So you can explore the concepts of tax allocation. Tax allocation strategies provide flexibility where dollar amounts come from. In periods of high taxes, it will be beneficial to spend retirement dollars from income tax-free vehicles like as Roth or life insurance. During low tax rates, that's when it's good to take it from IRAs and 401ks to keep your sequence returns in place in case of a downside hit. The key to having retirement savings is having a multiple set of vehicles and diversifying your portfolio. I mean, there's three ways to have your money. Where is all your money? Tax deferred, which is IRAs, 401ks, annuities. Tax-free accounts, which is life insurance, municipal bonds, and Roth IRAs, or taxable stocks, CDs, mutual funds. Do you have a diversification portfolio? Look at your finances and see if you do. It's very important to understand if you have this diversification, because a lot of people only have one, if not two. Everybody has the taxable one. It's the tax deferred and the tax free that can really help you in budgeting your income down the road. So now you've heard all these risks. I know I talk a little bit fast, but I like just to get very emotional about this. So what's your next step? What risks out of these 7 concern you most? Is it one of them? Is it all of them? Boom. I encourage you to go to our website, watch those 7 videos. It will take you 26 minutes to watch all 7 videos. That's it. 3 minutes, 3 to 3.5 minutes each video. Watch one a day for the next 7 weeks. You can afford to watch a 3-minute video that will give you an insight on ways to overcome these risks. Another way you do it is we have a lot of resources, and we have a tax map software that we run for you complimentary. We can do it over Zoom. We can do it in person. With this tax map software, it's going to take and this is federal only in that state, take your situation, your tax papers, plug them in here, and it's going to tell you exactly what tax formation you're going to be in. And you'll see at the bottom, it'll have a little graph there on the 16-page complimentary report. Will show you if you're not taking enough out, or you can take more out and it's not going to hurt you. We would also like to offer you, for attending today, a copy of our 5 steps to retirement guide, complimentary. We can email or mail that to you. Or if you like one of those Where Do I Stand plans, you can call or text us to 704-307-0202. You can always go to calendly.com/DolphJanis to schedule a 15-minute to a 2-hour time frame to go over questions. All depends on you. I try to make myself always available for everybody. And I said, all the complimentary resources we offer, I don't hide anything. I throw the kitchen sink out there, say, you learn, I'll teach you, we'll get together. And if you want to have a plan, we can go from there. You can visit guardyoursavings.com to have all a list of most of the resources we offer available to you. Any questions? I see we have a slew of them over here. I'm looking forward to answering each one individually. If you don't get a chance to put it on here, you can go to info@cisforlife.com, submit your questions, or give us a call. More than happy to help you out with those. Again, I have my calendar is your calendar. You go to calendly.com/DolphJanis. My whole calendar is going to pop up for the next 6 weeks. You can choose the date, choose the time, and choose what kind of meeting you'd want. It's very simple to do that for here. Last, I have to show the disclosure. I am not a CPA. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not an attorney. All this is income that all this resources we got from third source material to share with you to get you all this information out there. We're not soliciting for the government. We're not soliciting for anybody else. We're just, like I said, education and key first. I want to thank each one of you for attending this webinar today. I said we have all the different webinars coming up. You can always go to clearincomeforlife.com to see all the information you want to. And our last landing page is donotlosemoney.com is our webinar page. Donotlosemoney.com. That will have a list of all our upcoming events if you'd like to attend them. Dolph Janis, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to learn this. I hope you learned some information. I hope to talk to each and every one of you sometime soon. Take care.